as Trump continues to wallow in his own victimhood, even as he's managed to avoid being held accountable in 4 criminal trials and win the presidency, he's now found a new conspiracy theory with which he can do his whole woe is me routine. In the aftermath of President Jimmy Carter passing away, it was announced that flags across the country would be flown at half-staff and would remain there for 30 days, as is tradition when a former or current president dies, which, to the surprise of exactly no one, elicited a temper tantrum from Trump. He posted on the Truth Social, "The Democrats are all giddy about our magnificent American flag potentially being at half-mast during my inauguration. They think it's so great and are happy about it because in actuality, they don't love our country, they only think about themselves. Look at what they've done to our once great America over the past 4 years. It's a total mess. In any event, because of the death of President Jimmy Carter, the flag may, for the first time ever during an inauguration of a future president, be at half-mast. Nobody wants to see this, and no American can be happy about it. Let's see how it plays out. Make America great again." I know we talk a lot about the extent to which Donald Trump is a narcissist, but my God, Jimmy Carter dying and a long-standing American tradition continuing has quite literally nothing to do with Donald Trump. But because the sun and earth revolve around him, here he is throwing a temper tantrum that Jimmy Carter's death was timed inconveniently for him. My hope for everybody here watching in the year 2025 is that you will all find something that you love as much as Donald Trump loves Donald Trump. Also, not for nothing, but imagine being so insecure that even after getting elected President of the United States, you still feel so threatened by nothing more than a flag being flown at half-staff. Like, I'm sorry, but isn't he supposed to be the tough guy? Isn't he supposed to be the big alpha male that Republicans have been beating their chests about? Finally, we have a real man back in the White House, and yet this is all it takes to send him into a frenzy? I remember being at peak middle school awkward and still having more confidence than the guy who's about to take the oath of office in 2 weeks. Of course, it's not difficult to recognize why Trump is so hostile to keeping the flag at half-staff for Jimmy Carter, considering this is just some of what Carter has said about Trump.
Russia has been proven by our intelligence community to have interfered with one of our human rights, which is the right of free and fair elections. What's your reaction? How should we deal with Russia?
Well, the president himself should condemn it, admit that it happened, which I think 16 of the intelligence agencies have already agreed to say. And there's no doubt that the Russians did interfere in the election. And I think the interference, although not yet quantified, if fully investigated, would show that Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election, and he was put into office because the Russians interfered on his behalf.
So do you believe President Trump is an illegitimate president?
Based on what I just said, which I can't retract.
And remember, Trump's sole condition for whether or not he likes you is whether you are willing to genuflect at his altar. And because Carter wasn't willing to grovel at his feet like the rest of the Republican Party does, then Trump refuses to show him even a modicum of respect. That is how loyalty works with a guy. It's a one-way street. You're expected to give it, and in return, you can expect nothing. And amazingly, this isn't even the only time that Trump has thrown a fit over this issue, over the flag being lowered out of respect for leaders who pass away. According to MSNBC, in 2018, just 2 days after Senator John McCain's death, Trump had the White House flag raised to full staff, prompting fierce criticism from Republicans, Democrats, and veterans groups. Trump, whose relationship with McCain was infamously strained, eventually relented and ordered the flag to be lowered again. Trump was not invited to McCain's funeral and months later complained that he didn't get a thank you for giving the Arizona Republican the kind of funeral he wanted. Not for nothing, but if Republicans didn't elect the most insecure man-child on earth, they wouldn't have to contend with the embarrassment that he brings onto himself on a daily basis. And yet, here we are. And one more thing, because I know Trump is hell-bent on rewriting history, and Republicans are perfectly content to humor him, and our media is too cowardly to stand up to him. But when Trump says, "Look at what they've done to our once great America over the past 4 years, it's a total mess," let's not forget that the last 4 years watched Democrats take the disaster economy that Trump left, in which 3 million jobs were lost, the economy contracted 2.2%, and the unemployment rate rose to 6.3%, and they added 16 million jobs, brought the unemployment rate down to a 50-year low, brought the stock market to a record high, and oversaw the fastest economic recovery on earth. Let's not forget that the Democrats were the ones who passed an infrastructure law, one of Trump's biggest failed promises. Let's not forget the Democrats were the ones who oversaw a jobs boom, one of Trump's biggest failed promises. Let's not forget that the Democrats were the ones who oversaw a manufacturing renaissance, one of Trump's biggest failed promises. It was the Democrats who capped the cost of insulin and inhalers at $35. It was the Democrats who capped out-of-pocket healthcare costs at $2,000. It was the Democrats who are responsible for rural broadband, which will overwhelmingly benefit Republican areas and Republican voters. It was the Democrats who protected earned benefits like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, even as Republicans continue to this day to threaten to privatize the programs that you have spent your entire life paying into. It was the Democrats who protected our veterans by passing the PACT Act, ensuring that they would receive health care over the objections by Republicans, even as they beat their chests as the party of the military. It was the Democrats who ushered in billions and billions of dollars of investments from companies committed to the next generation of clean energy manufacturing thanks to the CHIPS and Sciences Act. It was the Democrats who passed the biggest climate protection law in history so that we have clean air to breathe, clean water to drink, and a habitable planet to live on. So I understand that Republicans are salty because they can barely manage to elect speakers, much less pass a modicum of legislation that will materially improve anyone's life who isn't already a millionaire or billionaire, but please miss us with this revisionist history about Democrats not knowing how to govern. And finally, here's a moment from Jimmy Carter's life that I think is worth remembering, not just because of the moment itself, but to put on full display how he had more class on any random Tuesday than Trump will show on his very best day.
Hello, President Carter. Karen Greer, CBS 46 News. And just wondering, you touched upon it a little bit. In your illustrious career, as you said, governor here, president, even as husband, father, grandfather, is there anything, or tell us, share with us what you're most proud of, and if there's anything you might have done differently or thought, maybe I wish I had not done that?
Well, the best thing I ever did was marrying Rosalind. That's the pinnacle of my life. And we've had 69 years together, still together. And so that's the best thing that happened to me. But I think getting involved in politics and going up, as a state senator, then governor, and president of the United States is obviously a glorious event. So, and we have a growing family. We have 22 grandchildren and great-grandchildren, 12 grandchildren and 10 great-grandchildren now, and they come in every year. So we have a good and harmonious family. And I would say the haven for our lives has been in Plains, Georgia. I plan to teach Sunday school this Sunday and every Sunday as long as I'm, physically and mentally able in my little church. And we have hundreds of visitors who come to see the curiosity of a politician teaching the Bible. So, so I'll continue that. So I've just had a lot of blessings.
Before you go, just a quick note, if you'd like to see more of my content, which is always free of advertising, sponsorships, and paywalls, please make sure to subscribe to this channel using the subscribe button right here on the screen. And if you'd like to support my work even further, you can grab a copy of my instant #1 New York Times selling book, Shameless, available for sale right now. That link is also on the screen. Thanks so much for watching.